you're wondering what this really controversial item I have with me is, it's a shirt that I ordered to go to Universal Studios with on Amazon. But a lot like this shirt is a motorcycle, also very controversial. Like this shirt, at some point, someone thought that it was a good idea and it made sense, and they were right. The bike was massively ahead of its time. So we're obviously talking about the Harley Davidson V-Ride, and it's the first gen. So I do have some specs on it, but to clear up a few things. So this was known as the Porsche Harley, and Porsche developed the motor and all this. It is a Porsche motor. You hear a lot of different things. You'll even see people put Porsche emblems on this bike. But the story with this motor and this motorcycle is nothing on this bike, besides the fact that it does exist in the Porsche Museum, but nothing on this bike is a Porsche component. It's all Milwaukee stuff. So the reason Porsche was involved is Harley had a series of racing engines that they wanted to put into a performance motorcycle, and I want to say that this bike actually got the nod from Willie G at Harley. I could be wrong on that, but they wanted to build this muscle power cruiser, and they did an incredible job. I've actually looked at the motor. So it's 1131 cc's, 115 horsepower and 86 pound-feet of torque. So to compare that to another engine, how much power per amount of displacement you're making, the V-Rod, for every 1 horsepower, basically 9.83 cc's are used. 9.83 cc's are used to make 1 horsepower. Suzuki had a racing V-twin, and they put it in a motorcycle called the DL1000. You probably know it better as the V-Strom 1000. But it took 10.2 cc's to generate 1 horsepower. So pound for pound, you had this amazing engine. Harley's issue with the bike was, okay, we have emissions laws, and we also have durability issues. So they contracted the company from Porsche that tests their engines, because a Porsche motor, despite what you might think about European vehicles, because typically they tend to not last very long, but they have a test called the Dusseldorf test. And what they do is they run an engine at near max or varying levels for 500 miles or 500 hours, and the motor has to survive this Dusseldorf test. So when they were developing this engine, it was failing a lot of the Dusseldorf testing. Well, eventually Porsche gets it right, and they go, okay, look, we've made some recommendations for changes. They got the motor. Then they built the bike. Well, it lasted from 2002 to 2017, so it had a good run for a Harley model, 15 years. It was no rocker C. I have a huge history with this particular bike. It used to belong to my uncle, and he bought it new. It was a gift for his 50th birthday, but it was also his first motorcycle. So his very first motorcycle is a V-Rod. I can tell you right now, that should never be your first ever motorcycle. In first gear, the reason that the 0 to 60 is 2.9 or 3.2, it's somewhere in that range, it's near what a Tesla almost can do, is because you never take it out of first gear before you hit 60. You switch at 60. You can go up to 60 in first gear, so there's no change, so it just rockets out. And the 86 pounds of torque on this over squared V-twin, it comes on super early. The first gear is incredibly tall, and the rest aren't much different than that. But it comes on incredibly early. Like, you can roll this bike out. I've rolled it off of a light in 4th gear, just kind of having an ADD moment. But it's an incredible machine. Now, it divided. I wouldn't even say divided. I mean, there was very few people when this bike came out that were on board for a liquid-cooled Harley, especially one made by a European company, because it really was not the image of Harley when it came out. Now, ironically enough, this Revolution engine is what it was called. The Revolution engine is what you now have in the newer Sportster line, the 1200s. The things you see like on the Pan America, a lot of that technology was adapted over from the V-Rod. So this motor was so incredibly far ahead of its time. And if you look at an Indian Scout, in particular a Victory Octane. Those are essentially were, in my opinion, kind of like copycat versions of a bike that was designed and developed 15 years ahead of that. I think development started in the late 90s, but let me get your eyes on this thing. We're going to look up close. This is a 2003 VRSCA. It's an anniversary model. I'll show you a few things to let you know in particular that are special about the bike like that. A big part of it is this polished brushed metal look. It doesn't have any paint, but I'm gonna hop off, turn off my camera. I'm gonna pick back up and we're gonna do some panos around the bike, and I'll tell you a little bit of my story with the bike, how I like it, a few details about it, and we'll go from there. See you in a sec. All right, so she just had her bath, and I'm gonna go ahead and give you a little walk around shot. But 94 inches long, 622 pound wet weight. So with all fluids, I think it was 606 dry. Welcome to the V-Rod. So I know that they went up on the motor size down the road. I don't think they changed much else besides just bigger displacement, a little more power. And I think it went up about 5 horsepower, but here we're definitely sitting solidly at 115. And you get that pretty easy. So here, I'll show you the tack on here, give you the red line. And this is definitely one of the, I'll go ahead and brag and say it, it's definitely in way better condition than a lot of these V-Rods that you'll see. First thing though, a lot of people, they went with this originally, these wheels. And I can't remember, I want to say cast aluminum or something, might be, but is it Blue Magic, I think is the polish that I've used on them in the past. They do need another round of polishing, but if you over polish them, they'll get like a chrome look, like this pipe, so then they don't look OEM anymore. So if you're wondering maybe why haven't I done the wheel polish or whatever, or cleaned them or whatever, it's actually keeping them closer to OEM look. What's not OEM on this bike though, and I do have it, is the seat. And my wife, we were dating. I was actually getting out of motorcycles altogether. I'd gotten an ATV. I had just gotten back from a deployment, and I decided I just didn't want to be on the road anymore. I had a 2014 Yamaha Striker, 1300cc, longer than this by a mile. It was, I think the damn thing was like 101 inches. It was huge, but nowhere near the torque, nowhere near the power. It felt like a slug. And my uncle, they were moving from California to Texas, and he said, if you want it, let me know and get it shipped down here. So I did it, bought a shed, put it in there, and it's got some cool details, man. And look down here. This is something that's going to be worth its weight in gold, given about 10 years or so. But yeah, he said, if you want it, get it. So I got it. It had been sitting dormant for about 7 or 8 years because it was his first motorcycle. He had some, he had 2 V-Rods. He bought one. This actually was originally purchased in Maui, and it was bought at Maui Harley. He had a black one stateside. Now his black one just was, I guess it was a bad luck motorcycle, but anyway, he oversteered on it, which is something that I noticed here. The rear brakes, they do lock really easy. They lock incredibly easy. It's got slotted brakes. But if you don't, this bike sits a lot because it's not really my daily. My DR650 is my daily, or my Voyager. This will stick, and it's sticking right now, so I'm gonna have to take that apart and kind of get that. But you know, front brake's good, my clutch is good. Out on the road though, those wheels that I was showing you, they are a little bit controversial. Some people say it turns the bike into a sail, and some people actually put wheels from other model V-Rods on that, but it's a 180, 120 setup, kind of like a sport bike. You feel the rear for sure. The exhaust, I will crank this up actually if you want to hear it. So this is what the bike would sound like, you know, had you bought it back in 2003. We'll go ahead and fire it up. I do need to make sure that it's in neutral though. But my wife, the reason that I changed that seat was when we were first dating. Yeah, you got your key down here, and no, You want to add fuel. I'll get back on that story in a second, but there's your fuel tank. And it's not much, and it does not last long. I want to say we rode, sorry for that, I want to say we rode about 180 miles. It averaged about 43 or so miles to the gallon. But let me hear what it sounds like. And this is what the stock pipe sounded like. I didn't want to change any of that, and there's not many options if you do want to change it. But you can see a little time working on this headlight right here. Of course, slotted front brakes. Maybe a little go around sound. Now, what made it controversial, let me get back to this story right here. So I had the OEM seat on it, and my wife said, "You have motorcycles?" I said, "Yeah, I'm getting out of motorcycles. I want to get a four-wheeler." And she wanted to go on a ride, and I had to take her on the OEM seat, which if any of you own a V-Rod right now, you know what I'm talking about. The OEM seat is basically just a fender cover. I mean, it feels like the fender when you sit on it. So this is a Sundowner, and I did keep the OEM rear, and I put a little, there's also have like a little tiny backrest, but we did a long trip on it, and I think she said never again. I think if we would have been dating, if we weren't dating and in that honeymoon period, she probably would have left me. But we're still together and we're still doing great. Underneath here is your air box. And it's got old hot rod velocity stacks in it, which I think is really cool. Now when you're riding it, they over squared this motor. So a lot more horsepower than torque, 115 to 86, but 2003. And that's back, you know, we were gonna start OIF and all those missions overseas. We're having high fuel prices. But this motor had to be jetted so lean that you see on the pipes, these are just covers for the exhaust. And I guarantee you, without these covers on here, because this son of a bitch is hot, and it's a liquid cooled too. You can see it right here, big ass radiator. But these pipes right here probably glow orange pretty far down. Any kind of parking lot sitting or anything like that, you probably running super hot. And I think a lot of guys rejet. I'm sure they rejet, they remap, do a lot of things like that to cool the bike down. I don't want to tweak it. Not this kind of a bike. Not a 100th anniversary bike. I kind of want it to stay as original as possible. Whether or not I ever keep it, I don't know. I feel like something unique like this needs to be preserved. But I started riding the bike, I was 19 years old. And this is 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago. I remember it was a lot of bike for me then too, because I was getting, not only rode dirt bikes mostly up until that point, but this son of a bitch will scream, it'll scat. It feels more violent than sport bikes I've owned. I had an FJR, but the FJR, was it quick? Yes, but you have to get up in the power band, where here, it kicks you in the ass with torque immediately. And then you transition from torque to peak power. And then you realize you haven't even shifted first gear yet and you're doing 60. So it's definitely still nothing to play with. But for everyday riding, there's a lot of things, you know. It's a novelty bike. It's a straight line. It's made for drag racing. They even have a drag racing edition that ran like 8.5 second quarter mile or something crazy. You'd have to look with NHRA to see what that was, but super quick bike. I rode it to work. This little tiny, you would be surprised what this will do right here. This will put wind right at the top of your chest. I'm 6'4". That puts wind right at the top of my chest. So it actually takes a surprising amount of wind off of you when you're riding. Going down to the motor though, summertime, when that fan kicks on, it's like a blowtorch on your leg. So like I said, it's a novelty bike. And it's definitely better as a winter, fall, spring bike for where I live. Once you get into summer, you're gonna have some pretty rough days with it. Belt drive, which I love, and this is the original belt. This belt has never been changed. If that's a testament to anything, I've never done any maintenance on it like a chain bike. It's almost like, I would say a belt is as good as a shaft drive, honestly, but it's also never been driven super crazy or super violently or wild. But if you're in the market and you're looking, I would tell you, know what you're looking for. So
This isn't a passenger bike. It's not a comfort bike. Although when you are going down the road and you're lugging around 50, it's one of the smoothest rides. One of the smoothest rides I've ever had. But getting on the interstate, it's going to get wobbly. And so I'm in a V-Ride owners group on Facebook. The most detailed, in-depth person that I know is probably the person on that group. He owns a YouTube channel called V-Ride TV, and he could probably pick this thing apart backwards. He's kind of like what Carl Leo is with the Kawasaki Voyagers. But anyway, this was the forefront of motorcycling. They just didn't realize it. It didn't sell well. A lot of Harley purists, they like the air cooled. I know Harley went to oil cooled, which I actually think is a really smart idea, because you have to have oil, so it's a necessary system, but you're not adding water, so you're not making too much more weight on the bikes. But it was liquid cooled. That was kind of controversial. European involvement in the bike's construction was controversial. And then I guess the people that bought it kind of made it controversial too. But over time, I've noticed it kind of regain appeal to all Harley. And I would say, 15 years ago, this bike was not widely accepted by the Harley crowd. Today it's a different ball game. I think if you rode up to Sturgis on this, it would get a lot more looks than a lot of bikes. But I've had it for a while. Now, I have to do a little bit of work to it. It punishes you for not riding it, but I will have a ride-along video I'm going to add here soon. But until then, man, yeah, it's an American hot rod. It's an American hot rod. It was ahead of its time. I've had this one in my life for quite a long time. It's actually been in my life longer than any other motorcycle. And it's special. But if you have any questions, just write them down in the comments. I may have made a few mistakes here talking about it, but if you like what you see, there's going to be more coming. And like and subscribe. And until then, take care.